One of the most requested videos I get on my channel is positioning in Arena. So, talking about where you should be standing to be the most effective on your class. So, I'm actually going to be bringing you through a couple games. One is going to be as Frost Mage as MLS against a Turbo Cleave with a Mistweaver Monk. And in this game, the very first one you're going to be seeing, I'm going to be talking about defensive positioning. And then we're going to be talking again in another game, a secondary game, that's going to be more of an offensive positioning and kind of telling you like what's the difference and showing you how I do it at least. So feel free to take your opinions, what you think is correct or not. But I think that I have a pretty solid example of how you can defensively position and kite, because this team, this Enhancement Shaman Warrior combo, is going to be trying to kill me at the beginning of this game and actually throughout the entire game. But I've been taking a lot of steps in order to kind of make that very difficult for them. And then the next game, they're going to be trying to kill my Warlock. Okay, so we're going to be fighting against a Mistweaver Monk just to start with here. And it's pretty common at higher MMRs, that Gladiator range, matchmaking rating, for you to actually you have to run in as the Frost Mage and stop the enemy team from interrupting your Warlock, because he's going to be trying to cast Demonic Gateway. And it's important that you just stop them from doing that. You have to stop them from interrupting your Warlock. So I run out in the middle of the match. I stop the Enhancement Shaman from getting to my Warlock. He doesn't interrupt him. And as you can see, we're just trying to build up icicles here. I see that the Mistweaver actually flies across the map in order to... He's probably going to go CC my healer, and these guys are going to do damage to me. That's pretty common for this type of Turbo Cleave. So... Since I see the Mistweaver Monk kind of expose himself, what I can do, since I have two shimmers, is I can actually blink towards the Mistweaver Monk, start casting Polymorph, and then blink again around the pillar so that I land the full Polymorph. I'm able to do damage onto them now with my Frozen Orb, and also I'm out of line of sight of the Enhancement Shaman, so he can't interrupt me as I land this Polymorph, which is really important, right? So I get this guy in a full sheep. I'm still defensively positioning myself. I'm still kind of running, even though that was more of an offensive move. This guy charges to me and takes about 30% of my health away in one swing. So I Frozen Orb. I'm trying to do damage to these guys. I use Temporal Shield. His Sharpened Blade actually falls off, and I'm just trying to kite away right now from their Warrior, from their Enhancement Shaman, since he runs the other way. I think the Enhancement Shaman was trying to go and use his Hex Totem on my Shaman, but that didn't really work out so well. So the Warrior actually goes over and Storm Bolts my Restoration Shaman here, right? So I have Temporal Shield. I'm going to get healed up a little bit in just a moment. And right now I'm standing. I don't have any blinks, so my thought is to go stand by the Demonic Gateway, since that's an asset we have whenever we play with a Warlock. Whenever I use this gateway, I'm going to be flying across the map pretty fast, right? So since I don't have any shimmers, I can't kite on my own. I walk towards this gateway, and I'm waiting for this Enhancement Shaman to connect with me, and I'm waiting for him to actually use his Feral Lunge, which is what he's doing right now in this very moment. So he's using this Feral Lunge in order to kind of close the distance between me and him, right? Since I don't have any blinks, that would be very bad. So I'm actually in a spot right now where I have an answer to that. Since they are both about to connect, the Warrior's about to get to me, the Shaman gets to me right now. I'm actually able to use my Gateway right now, get away from that Blade Storming Warrior and the Shaman without any more gap closers, and I'm able to kite around the pillar until my Shaman is available to heal me again. I actually kite a little bit too far here. I think it's better to just stay in line of sight of my healer and maybe run towards that way, towards the open. But I actually run behind the corner, and then I blink back towards my Shaman so that he can cast heals on me. There's no interrupts for my healer, so I want to get topped to full health here. No problem. And it's going to be pretty much at this point, like, we're turning the tides right now. So what we're doing is we're actually going to be doing a lot of damage to them right now, since they don't have any way to get to me. They have no more gap closers, no more CC, no more damage, and we've successfully negated their damage for a good amount of time, right? So now we're turning the tables. I use my Ebon Bolt, I use my Flurry, I use my Comet Storm, Ice Nova combo. I'm blizzarding them, trying to get my Frozen Orb back, and just using damage and kiting with my shimmers in the meantime. You can see that I use Cone of Cold quite often, because with Frigid Winds, Frigid Winds increases the effectiveness of all of your slows, and whenever you have Frigid Winds against two melee that are attacking you, you can just Cone of Cold them. They're slowed for 85% movement speed, which is insane, and then you can start walking away from them, and they won't actually be able to catch you. Like, that Warrior can't catch me for a few seconds there, so that's really important. I get Frostlocked here, which is fine. Right now I'm just kind of waiting for my Frozen Orb to come off of cooldown, so 4 seconds, and then right as this Frozen Orb comes off of cooldown, I'm going to use Cone of Cold, Shimmer, Frozen Orb, and I'm going to do a huge amount of damage to both of them right now. So Cone of Cold, Shimmer, there it is, and then Frozen Orb comes off cooldown. I Frost Nova the Warrior away from me. I put down a Blizzard so that he's permanently slowed in that Blizzard. The Shaman comes back in line of sight. I get some Ice Lance procs, and I use my Frozen Orb, Comet Storm, Ice Nova, combo and start doing a huge amount of damage to the shaman. And since they have no way to really like teleport around, like the shaman can't teleport around, he didn't have his astral shift available. The Mistweaver Monk was feared quite often throughout the game by my Warlock since he was free to position himself how he wanted to. So the Monk didn't have any type of cooldowns left. He didn't have Trinket, he didn't have his Life Cocoon, his Revival, whatever. And at this point, I was able to just basically get my Frozen Orb back, use it at an opportune moment where they could not connect to me or interrupt my damage, and we were able to take down the Shaman right there and then without any issues. And that's because I was able to live. I could have had to force my Ice Block and then not take that gateway again, when they connected on me. And then after that, I probably would have died. So it's really important to be able to kite effectively. I didn't even have to Ice Block once because I was able to kite effectively with my Cone of Cold and my Demonic Gateway. So it's just really important to know that you need to stay in line of sight of your healer. You need to be able to use your Shimmers or your Demonic Gateway at an appropriate time whenever you know that you're not going to be connected on again. When you're kiting effectively, you're seeing what gap closers the enemy team uses. You're seeing how they're getting to you and how... and you're finding ways to make that difficult for them, whether it's Cold, Frost Nova, whatever. So we were able to win that game pretty handily in about a minute and a half. Moving on to that second game, what I want to talk to you guys about now is actually offensive positioning, right? So when a team like this Turbo Cleave with the Druid instead of a Mistweaver Monk attacks my Warlock, my teammate, what am I going to do to be most effective, right? So I'm not being pressured. I'm not being damaged. No one's hurting me. So I have free reign to pretty much play my class and the offensive capabilities that I think I can. I make a couple mistakes here, but I do get the overall gist of like how I like to offensively position, and that's going to be mostly in between in between the enemy team, which is the Shaman and the Warrior, which will be grouped up mostly because they're double melee. They'll be on one target as double melee, and then I want it to be in between those two melee and the healer. So the healer's over here, probably on a pillar. Here's the double melee, and I want to be right in between them both. In order to pretty much pressure the Druid for whenever he casts, I'll be able to blink around the corner and counterspell him, or maybe I'll be able to land a cheeky polymorph. So I go out there, I stop them from trying to interrupt my Warlock friend, so there's really nothing to do right there. We just have to do that in order to get that Demonic Gateway up. They hit me for just a couple seconds, but then they switch over to my Warlock with that Heroic Leap, Bloodlust, Feral Lunge combo. They get a fear onto my Restoration Shaman, but he has adaptation, so he instantly gets out of that. And then you can see the Druid is dashing and Displacer Beasting in order to bash my Shaman right there. So right now, I'm in an offensive position where there's a couple things going on right now. They're doing all of their offensive cooldowns. They're going. And I'm actually doing the same thing because I'm trying to create counter pressure right now. So I'm positioned in a way that is not only by the gateway, but I can see every single player on the map. So if I were to be over here, right, on this side of the pillar, then when this Druid blinks in on my Shaman, it's possible that they could be line of sighting. So I'm in a position where I don't really, I can't be CC'd because the Druid's over there, and I'm already line of sighting him, so I can't be cloned or anything. And I can also see every single player in the map, and I can do damage to the double melee here. I can counterspell the Druid if he comes in, which he's about to do. He's about to dash in, bash my Shaman, and he's not able to land a Cyclone because I'm there ready to interrupt, right? So you can see the bash comes out onto my Restoration Shaman. I'm doing a lot of counter pressure. Their offensive cooldowns are about over. Battlecry is ending. Bloodlust is over. And right now, they're just trying to find ways to live. As you can see, the Iron Bark comes out on the Enhanced Shaman. And right now, all they have to do is really just live. We're kind of doing both of the same thing right now. We're both not really accomplishing too much damage. I get the Warrior a little bit low, but that doesn't really matter because he has Spell Reflect and Rallying Cry and Hot's coming up, so it really doesn't matter too much. And at this point, they don't have any damage left. We don't have a whole lot of damage left, so we're kind of in this middle point of the game where we're trying to create pressure where we can. Since they're in line of sight, we're really good at keeping consistent pressure off. And this is a really important point in the game where I see that the enemy Restoration Druid is actually over there on the pillar casting Tranquility. So what I want to do is I actually want to walk forward a little bit more, shimmer around the corner, and then counterspell him. I kind of mess it up. It's a little bit sloppy, but it still kind of gets the point across. I'm trying to be offensive and control this guy over here because I'm not being slowed by the Warrior or the Enhancer Shaman. I'm not being attacked to where I have to stay in line of sight of my Shaman, right? So it's important that I look for plays that create pressure for our team. So I actually blink around the corner here. I mess up on the, I blink right here, which is just barely not around the corner. And then I actually still land the counterspell anyways. I still interrupt him. it just it wasn't very pretty. So right there, I created so much pressure for my team that it instantly forces out the Astral Shift from the enemy enhancement shaman. We're not able to kill him with this Astral Shift up, but the Restoration Druid actually, since there's a Astral Shift onto this shaman, the Restoration Druid tries to clone me, but that was actually a pretty poor, in my opinion, it was a pretty poor decision because that clone was instantly trinketed. This guy's really low, his Astral Shift's about to fall off, there's no hots on him at all. So I think that was just a poor decision by the Restoration Druid, but it's important that we positioned ourselves in a way that would pressure that Druid to even think that way, isn't it? Because if I'm in between their team and their healer, and I had a counterspell that just went out, I'm probably going to look for a polymorph next, and the Druid knows that, and he has to spam heals. So his first thought was, okay, I'm going to try and stop the mage from doing what he's doing. Since I was creating so much pressure and stress for that healer, he tried to clone me, which is the poor decision. So I actually, based on my positioning, I was able to pressure the Restoration Druid into making a poor choice, just because of where I was standing. So we're able to land a huge amount of damage out on both of these guys. They're both at 30% health. They have no more defensive cooldowns, no Iron Bark, no heals, really. And I blink around the corner trying to cast a polymorph on this Druid. Again, taking his... I'm pressuring this guy. I'm taking his freedom away from being able to just cast heals, cast regrowths, and all that stuff. And I also have a Frozen Orb coming up at the same time, so we actually kill both the Shaman and the Warrior at pretty much the exact same time, with Blizzard, Frozen Orb, AoE damage, Ice Lance, Incinerate, all that stuff. And we were able to kill both of them at the exact same time just because of how much pressure I was able to put onto this enemy Restoration Druid, which is a Vindictive Gladiator. So it's not like he's a bad player. He's got a rank 1 title. Like, you can't really, call him bad at that point. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for today. I just kind of wanted to walk you through exactly how positioning works in Arena, and in my opinion, how I would like to position my character as the match kind of plays out in different scenarios. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give a big thumbs up, and you can also leave a comment down below if you learned anything from this, or would like me to build off of this information in any way. Feel free to ask a question down below. But you can subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already for future videos, and I will see you all in the next one.